Pledge of Allegiance. Please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, give me a second to pull up my calendar because it's been a few weeks. So since our last meeting here, Tarek and I, along with Ron, Chuck, Brad, Jennifer, I'm sure I'm missing someone, but a bunch of us met with some developers who are looking at or have already purchased some property out on the west side of town, and they are looking at possibly annexing in. So we've been continuing to talk to them about the projects that they have going on and welcoming them to town, and working with them on how that process works. After that, we had a meeting with, Tarek and I had a meeting with a company called Ag Grid Energy, and they saw the news article on NPR that went national through the National Public Radio, and they wanted to talk about building manure digesters here in Painesville, since Nature Energy pulled out. We talked to them about their model. They do not like coming in and trucking manure, which is what Nature Energy did. They want to be on the farms themselves. Even if they have a bigger facility that they truck into, they still want it to be on the farm. So I said, we don't have dairy farms in the city of Painesville. We'd love to work with you if you had a model that maybe worked, but we can't fit it here in town. So I did let them know that I gave them Jeff Bertram's information so that he can work with them on the countywide level and hopefully get some things there. We've got to follow up with them later this week, I think. Yep. 13th? Thursday, yeah. So we'll get more information there.
Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
So Thursday the 12th then?
Yep.
No,
It's coming up.
it's coming up, yeah.
It's on my calendar, I know that, but otherwise, I don't think we had any committee meetings. We had our working session with city admin. Was not able to make the fire hall one, but I heard about it. I heard that that went well. Let's see.
More things.
That's all what are you thinking? I forgot.
The Centricare thing and the Avon tour.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you did. So we had the Avon tour. I think most of the council was there, looking over for Manufacturers Month. Again, we have another one coming up this week. It's on Wednesday, though.
Nope, not this
No,
week.
not this week.
Next week we're
We're
done?
off this week. We're on the 17th, yeah.
17th.
Okay, so next week we're back on. 17th, I won't be able to make it. I'll be down in Minneapolis for a trial, but wish everyone well there. I think the Avon tour went really well. It was well attended, and I do think that it's something that this community needs to bring awareness to the people who make things here in town. Otherwise, we also had Centricare did its beam signing. So their final structural beam, it was in the paper. I guess the construction company, Mortensen, does a structural beam, the last beam that they put up, and they open it up to members of the public to come in and sign it. They advertised it, and Chris might disagree with us here, but they said it's a superstitious thing in the building trades that they want to placate. And superstition or not, I think it was a cool thing to do to get the public involved in it there. So Tarek and I were there on behalf of the city, signed our names to it, and took off from there. Otherwise, we had the gala, and that was well attended as well. And that's all I've got for city stuff. So, Neil.
I did a lot of the same. Admin working session, fire working session on the same day. Then had a meeting with Bill Spooner about a potential development that may happen. I think you missed that one, Mayor. The Avon tour I did, and I was at the gala.
Potential development.
You weren't there.
Yeah, we met
I
with
wasn't
Bill.
there.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, you weren't there. Tarek was there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Megan.
So we had the park board meeting. We talked about the Amby Park shelter.
and decided to have an additional meeting this year, and possibly have the architect come. We just want to talk about the placement and everything. We also discussed the possibility of having more concerts in the park that they have at Veterans Park in the summer. So we used to, and I think that would be a good idea if we can come up with the volunteers and everything to do that more often. And we talked about some upcoming events. I think let's see. And then I did the 2 working sessions as well in the Avon tour, which was really informative and interesting. I unfortunately could not attend the gala as I had a family wedding out of town. So I believe that's it for me.
Unacceptable. We'll see you.
I'll be there twice next year.
Gee.
I did all the same things you guys did, and I also attended a chamber board meeting.
Great. Paul.
Property negotiations with Neil. The administration working session and the fire hall working session.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, moving on then to our department heads for this week. Bill.
I'd like to start the night out by presenting the fire department a check for the fundraiser we did back in August. We've got everything tallied up, and we'd like to thank everyone in the community for their support. It was a great evening. The winner of the raffle ticket was very excited and is having a lot of fun with that. We've already got plans we're working on for next year that we'll bring back to council as we go, but if I could present this check to the firemen, I know they have other things they would need to do this evening, but I appreciate them coming tonight, and it was a great event, I think. We had a fun time. So.
You did a lot of work too.
What's that?
It was a lot of work for you too, so thanks.
Yeah, it was fun. Great, let's do this.
Where's the sun? Where do you want to go?
Something with a good background, maybe.
We
You
don't
want to come in front of the flags and we'll vacate?
stand up here.
Yeah.
They don't have to come all the way up here.
You still don't want light out.
No, we don't want to be in it.
So the check is for $9,077, so thanks to everyone.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah. You know this, they don't take these out of the bank, right? Talk to Melinda. Because they keep that for next time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
9,077.
Mayor, is there anything you can do for, otherwise I think I'm gonna skedaddle?
No, thank you for being here. Thank you, Chris and Jess, for all that you all do, and appreciate it.
We're gonna go change some batteries. Yes. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And the public, don't forget about the fundraiser Saturday night. It's for their meal. So,
Hit me up for tickets, Andy.
Buy tickets, everybody.
so in your pack, I dropped off numbers for you all to look at. Sales are still trending lower. I will be excited when the highway opens up and people actually go behind our store again. So hopefully that is very soon. We've got a lot of good things going on in our business. Interesting numbers where things are going this year, and we're following the national trends like we should be. Wednesday I head to Alexandria for a MMBA meeting, and I think THC in the year 2025 coming up will be a big topic that we'll be discussing with the marijuana laws that have recently come out. We have our wine club, our first wine club of the fall is this Thursday, actually, October 12th. We'll be doing the second Thursday of every month. Heidi from Wine Merchants will be here again. Next month, we're doing the first ever in the state. We're doing November 9th, we're having a wine club. We're having 2 wineries go head to head, and our customers will pick the best wines, and then the winning winery will have bragging rights in Minnesota for the year. So I've got two wineries going at each other. They are friends, of course, but it should be a good time. It's called Battle of the Wineries. And we are still taking applications. If anybody wants a fun gig for a couple hours, stop down and see us. So that's all I have unless there's other questions. And if you have questions on the numbers, please stop and see me or give me a call. So.
Bill, what is, when you say profit before expenses, how do you calculate profit before you consider expenses?
That is, that's everything we made in profit of selling the product.
Okay,
So there's no expenses out of the 309 yet.
No rent, no salaries, none of that.
Nothing. That is just where we are compared to last year at this time.
so the only expense though would be the cost of goods.
Cost of goods, correct, which is cost of goods. It's-
Yeah,
You know, cost.
it's not great on anything right now.
Right, and we've been purchasing with our association, so, inventory's stiff, but we're ahead of last year, we're down from last year, so, the wine sales are down nationwide because people are making those canned cocktails, they're drinking those, it's interesting. THC's made a difference, we're seeing that hit the market. Could affect us 2 to 3% in upcoming years, so.
Would it help the cost of goods if you bought more at one time?
You had a bigger store to put them in, perhaps?
It has some places.
Is that where we're going with this?
I think our meeting is coming up the 25th, and I'm looking forward to that.
Twisting a knife a little bit, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Dig it in there.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Any questions for Bill? All right, thanks. Ron?
Great, thank you. First of all, crews will be out flushing hydrants on Wednesday and Thursday. If somebody sees a different crew around tomorrow, we are doing leak detection around the entire distribution system. Parks are closed starting today. You can still use them as you can use the RV dump. There just will not be access to water there. Park reservations, people can make reservations for next year if they so desire. The Spruce Street will be getting curb and gutter portion where that patch is on the 23rd is when it's going to be paved. So curb and gutter I think is going in on this Thursday and Friday. Crews will be out sweeping streets, Public Works Committee tonight. Main topics there, we were discussing water and sewer rates and also our irrigation replacement project, which will be coming to council next meeting. Some of the grants that we've got out, just to remind council members, our tree inventory grant, Lake Avenue River Bank grant, lead and copper inventory grant, the soil or the source water protection grant, those are all still out there. We haven't heard back at this time on any of them yet. The one that we were kind of hoping the grant would come out is for our fluoride issue. The issue is still there. It is still directly due to water softeners. But as of this point, there hasn't been any help out there for us, so the Public Works likely will be taking that up in the future too. So, thank you.
Ron, with the leak detection, is that one of those things where you like blow smoke through the lines and see if it comes up anywhere, or how do you do that?
The leak detection in the distribution system, we take a device and they listen to the hydrant. And they can tell if somebody's flushing their toilet, it's so sensitive. So yes, they can't tell if there's a leak anywhere.
It's not going to be one of those systems where people should be on the lookout for like if smoke comes up through their drain or something, it would be a sign of a leak. Great, thanks. Any questions for Ron? All right, thank you. Tarek?
All right, was pretty light weeks. Had the Fire Relief Association meeting, which they're talking about since they're switching to para, how best to, or how many meetings they would need going forward because, or actually the need for the Relief Association, and it would be needed because that would be the main entity they would use for the charity purposes for raising money and doing fundraisers. So they talked about how many meetings per year, probably just have it to a couple of meetings and organize different events and stuff. And then of course, the other meetings were all mentioned, which were the Centricare event with Sean, the Avon Plastic Tour, and of course I was in the discussions with the developers on the annexation side as well as the residential development. That's obviously, we're still discussing, so hopefully something comes out of that one. And finally, just to remind people, 2 Fridays ago, the Small Business Development Center started having office hours here. So they're here every Friday from 8:30 to 4. Anybody who has a small business idea or question or needs help with something, that's what they're here for. So anyone can come in, the service is free.
Any questions for Tarek? Right, on the note of informational, we also have an upcoming Stearns County Municipal League meeting next Tuesday at the 17th. For the same reasons, I won't be able to attend the business tour. I won't be able to attend that, so hopefully others from the council can get to that.
I'll be in California.
Yeah, the treasurer.
Looks like I'm wearing the hat for both of you guys.
Yeah, I've got the stuff for you too, to take.
Okay, I'm not seeing anybody in the public for our public forum unless somebody on staff wants to get up and talk to us.
I did forget to mention something.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So it is homecoming this week.
Ah, yes, it is.
So, and the football game will be on Friday, and there's going to be a tailgating event beforehand from 5:30 to 6:30, it looks like. And they'll be doing tours of the PAC and the CTE space every 15 minutes as well. So free will donation, things like that, supporting the Bulldog Booster Club and the FFA. So that would be a good event to attend if anybody's looking for something to do.
All right, thank you, Megan.
Yes.
Okay, going on then to the adoption of our consent agenda, the minutes on page 1, along with the vouchers on page 2, totaling $574,155.61. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, or does anybody want something pulled?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Soini, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hertzberg. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, scheduling a special city council meeting with Bill. We had looked at Wednesday, October 25th, but it doesn't work for him, so we're looking at doing it at 4 o'clock instead.
I'll make the motion to set the special city council working session with the liquor store for Wednesday, October 25, 4 p.m. in City Hall Conference Room.
Motion by Hertzberg as stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Soini. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
It works out better because that's the day of the manufacturer's launch of these things.
Does. I did have the thought, though, that Bill, maybe you should put up a folding table and we can come out to you.
If you don't mind sitting on a couple cases of beer.
Wouldn't be my first time.
It would help illuminate some of the things you want to talk about, would it not?
I'm fine with that.
A little tour.
All right, on to our update. A little bit of everything here. We're looking at Ron or Chuck can give us a report, but authorizing us to spend $48,640 to get a cost estimate on the Glacial Lakes Trail extension.
So yes, this pertains to the Glacial Lakes Trail extension, to connect the Lake Coronis Trail to the Glacial Lake Trails along Highway 55 and then along County Road 130. As the council's aware, we pursued funding through 2 different grant programs, the Transportation Alternatives and the Active Transportation. Fortunately enough, we were able to get both, or we secured both those grants. So the Transportation Alternatives funding is for $440,000, and that grant is for the year 2027, which aligns really well with when they plan to redo the bridge over the river along 55 in 2026. So that timing works out well for that project. So the discussion, and when we originally pursued funding for these grants, they were both for phase 1. Well, when we got both of them, it really allows us to do phase 2 now with the active transportation funds, or a good majority of phase 2. It might not get us all the way to the end, but it will get us the majority of the way. So the plan would be to use the active transportation alternatives funds for phase 1 and the active transportation funds for phase 2. And that would be planned to be constructed next year, sort of in that 24-25 time frame. So with that, the next steps to really move these projects forward would be we need authorization to proceed with plans and specs, putting together construction documents and everything for the active transportation program.
So in essence, we're doing it in reverse. We're doing phase 2 first and phase 1 second, just because of the timing of the grants.
And we're looking at the total estimated cost for this project, about $600,000, of which $500,000 would be the grant.
Just to know, the 48,640, the engineering fees on this project are not grant eligible, so that cost will be split with the township.
Have they approved that already?
The township, not that I'm aware of.
Do we have, but as a cost of the trail, it would be included under our trail agreement, right?
Correct.
Are they at least aware of it?
As township?
Yes.
Yes,
We were at their,
they were at the trail board meeting, so.
I just know we've had issues with like the swimming pier is the most recent, so just want to try and avoid that if we can.
And we could make sure we don't proceed with anything until it's approved by them as well.
Yep, Neil.
Chuck or Ron, looking at the picture on page 6, the red trail, is that part of phase 1?
Are you talking in the lower left corner?
Yeah, going across from Grandy Street?
No, the crossing over to North Grand will actually be a separate project that we plan to pursue some safe routes to school money for. MnDOT's gonna make us, we're gonna have to look at doing quite a bit of different things in that area to make a safe crossing. It's gonna be more than just putting up a couple signs, it's gonna be,
Yeah.
I've actually initiated some discussions with MnDOT on that, on what they're gonna wanna see there.
I think it's a good, something that would be good.
All right,
So just the green and the blue is what we're looking at now.
Yeah, so the 2024 project would be the green extension.
Okay.
and right now, we're not approving the project itself, just the engineering, essentially.
Right.
I've got a question for you. Say for instance, the township doesn't agree with that price. Where do we go from there?
I think at that point, it would have to come back here, but certainly we can approve it.
Yeah.
And then if, they were at the meeting, so I'm not particularly worried about it, but if it did fall apart for whatever reason, then we'd have to revisit it at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, our current agreement with them is 50/50 on the trail.
Yep.
Unless they want to break the whole agreement, that's what it is. And with that, I'll make the motion to authorize Walton and Mink Incorporated to complete the plans, specs, and grant documents for Phase 2, the Glacial Lakes Trail Extension Project in the amount of $48,640.
All right, there's a motion by Hertzberg, as stated on the action sheet contained in our update. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Thielen. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Carries. Before we move on, though, Ron, where are we at with getting the trail marked through town? Are we still on track to get that done this year?
No, that will not be, our next step is to bring the actual route to the council here.
Okay.
And council needs to formally adopt that route, and at this point, it'll be too late to get any striping done.
Trail Board agreed to adopt the existing plan.
So that should be coming
Next meeting.
next meeting? Perfect, thank you. All right, moving on then, the EDAP revolving loan and subsidy loan repayment agreement on page 7 of our agenda. Tarek.
This is the revolving subsidy loan that, for WDR, which is Avon Plastic out in the township. It's a $300,000 loan, split 50-50 between the township and the city. And I believe Bill had prepared all the documents already. And the only stipulation, or only edit I would like to make is that it doesn't stipulate that it is a balloon loan. It's a 30-year amortized loan, but of course it balloons in 10 years. And the rate, of course, is the capped rate that we agreed to last time at 6.5%.
I mean, the loan documents don't use the word balloon, but all the loan documents say that the loan is due in 10 years.
Yes.
I don't think that's an issue. I mean, it's pretty clear it's a balloon payment at the end of 10 years.
Okay. And you have the payment schedule there that shows that at year 10, there's a balance due.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, and all the documents say the same thing. It's, they're well aware that the payment comes due at the end of the day. And so from my perspective, we're gonna try to close this on Thursday in the afternoon with the borrowers. So I'm looking for council to approve it, and then I'm looking for Tarek or whoever is appropriate to get it to the township so they can approve it at their meeting tomorrow night.
I gave them documents already, so they're aware that for them to put it on their agenda.
Okay, but I mean, I'm hoping that everybody would sign the same documents, so we would have a fully signed set, so after the council signs stuff, that then those could get up to the town board, so
they could sign the same documents and then get those back to me for Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
Great. If there's any discussion on that, we'll entertain that. Otherwise, at this point, a motion would be in order. I would suggest that the motion include language asking the city administrator to deliver the signed documents to Painesville Township before its meeting tomorrow night.
I'll make the motion to approve the WDR Properties LLC mortgage, promissory note, personal guarantee, and economic development loan agreement, including business subsidy criteria in the amount of $300,000 at 6.5% per annum for 10 years. And that the city administrator, after the documents are signed here, get to the township before their meeting tomorrow night.
All right, there's a motion by Soini as stated on the action sheet with the addition that the city administrator get the documents that are signed up to the township before its meeting tomorrow night. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Right, on to the airport land acquisition grant amendment, page 29. Go, Ron or Chuck?
Okay, thank you. Back in 2017, the city of Painesville, actually the airport, purchased some property from the city. We did get a grant for that, went through all the process, and this is cleaning up some of the mess on it yet. And they're asking us to approve an amendment here in the amount of, it's increased by $1,192. They mainly got bogged down in some high-level COVID issues there. At least, to me, there was no reason why it had to take this long, but obviously it did.
Ron, is this that lot 2, block 2? Okay.
That was part of it, yes. Had to redefine it a couple times.
Yeah, as you recall, we had to go through, they made us go through and update the Exhibit A property map and jump through all these hoops. And basically what this is when the original purchase occurred, there was $1,300 in additional costs through that process. So this is amending the agreement, of which the FAA covers 90% of that, $1,192.
Right, so with that, we're looking for a motion to approve the airport land acquisition grant amendment number A01 to MnDOT grant agreement number 1029343.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Soini as stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Hertzberg. Any further discussion? I'm assuming then this is good, Ron, until they tell us to change it again?
This should be the end of it.
Okay. All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right. On to what I read as a street closure, but there's really just no parking. Paul?
So, this kind of came up last week. The Hartmans are going to be doing their annual Halloween kind of walk down on Larry's property off Central Avenue. There were some concerns last year in regards to parking and people's ability to get in and out of there. Some of those concerns kind of popped up last week. I spent some time talking with Chelsea on Monday about it. Talked with her a little bit about what she's looking to do there. They are looking to have off-street parking on some property that they own across from the Hartman residence down there. But in order to help facilitate kind of the traffic in and out of there, we had mentioned to them that it might be a good idea to post Central Avenue for the time that they're doing their event as a no parking and make that request to the city council. So that's kind of the backstory on this. We don't want to close the road because then that would keep the vehicles from getting down that way, plus hinder the residents down there. In my conversations with her, I know there's been some issues as far as some of the neighbors and people walking through their yards, stuff like that. She said that they're looking to kind of rope that stuff off to head off as many issues as possible this year, so.
Are you speaking of those alleys that are accessible?
No, I think
Actually, a street.
as far as like the no parking, just a Central Avenue.
Okay.
I don't think, it's possible people will park in those alleys, but it's an alleyway and they can't park there anyways, so that would present its own issue. This is just strictly Central Avenue to kind of keep people, you know, that, without the curbs and stuff, that road can get pretty narrow if you've got vehicles on both sides, so.
Okay.
Well, and if emergency vehicles needed to get down there for any reason, that present a problem too, so I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of this. I'm glad that we are able to work together with Chelsea and Zach to address this before it becomes a problem, and hopefully that spirit of cooperation means that some of the issues that have happened in the past with this event can be avoided this year. And if not, then we know what to do for next year.
And I think they will. In my conversation with Chelsea, you know, they are doing everything they can to make it a fun event for the community. And they're trying to, you know, keep the impact on the neighborhood as minimal as possible. I know there's been some concern about, you know, the music and the noise and stuff like that. And I think she said one night or 2 nights. They're only doing the music just 1 or 2 nights out of the entire time that they're doing it, so. But she's assured me that they will have things down and the noise down according to our ordinances, so.
And I've seen it advertised as stopping before quiet time hours begin, so it seems that they plan to be in compliance with everything. And I know it's come up a few times from different people, and you know, if things are in compliance with our ordinances, then there's no issue from stopping anyone else from having a Halloween party or anything else that's on private property and within compliance of the ordinances. So I hope that the people who go have a great time, and it sounds like it'll be fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, fun for the whole community. I don't know that I consider these types of events fun, but that's my personal preference on that.
Kind of
So,
a baby myself, but I know a lot of people are big Halloween fans, and I think that they'll have a good time.
Yep, nope, there are lots who disagree with me, and good for them. So no, I wish Chelsea and Zach the greatest success, and I think at this point, unless there's further discussion, but I think a motion would be in order.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2023-25, authorizing the police chief to designate Central Avenue lying northwesterly of Business 23 as a no parking zone.
So motion by Brick is stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Thielen. Heard it there first, Gene,
That's
sorry.
fine.
Any discussion?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna ask, it doesn't say on here the dates, but I assume it's just those 4 dates that we're gonna have.
Yeah, looks like
It'll be-
the third paragraph of the resolution.
Yeah.
It does say October 20th, 21st, 27th, and 28th.
Yep.
Okay, with that, no further discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. All right. Page 37. Tarek.
This is a forfeiture of property on 617 Coronas Avenue. We received, and I was under the impression that we were to be notified ahead of time, but we weren't. We were notified that this property will be going to auction. And, I mean,
This is for the post.
It will be later.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's on here for us to entertain going into a closed session to talk about making an offer on this. I thought Tarek can give us a little bit of a backstory first.
yeah, I mean, this is something that, and I think you, Sean, looked into it well over a year ago, to try to see what can be done about the property. And one thing that we were hoping for is that if there were to be some type of forfeiture or auction, that we would be notified ahead of time, and we weren't. We were just kind of notified that this auction is going to be taking place. So I do think it's something that we would like to discuss, what opportunities or options we have with this.
This is something that the council discussed in its working session last week. Council discussed possibly making an offer to bring to the auction on it, which is why I asked that we notice that we may go into a closed session here to do that. I think I'd leave it at the discretion of the council. We can certainly table this to the end of our meeting and circle back to it after we go into closed session, or we can make a motion to simply sign the paperwork that Stearns County's presented to us as is and not do an offer on it. Or we could discuss making an offer publicly. We don't have to go into a closed session.
I'm not in favor of making an offer for not $10,000.
Well, I don't think we're obligated to offer what it's appraised at. We can offer, and Bill, maybe you know the answer to this, but if it's going to auction, we could realistically offer whatever we wanted, and if somebody comes in higher, they get it instead of us, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Plus, well, yeah, there are some outstanding.
And they have the right to reject any and all offers.
Well, I haven't really looked at their advertisement for bids, but that's typically true. My guess is that they wouldn't, though. I mean, they don't, you know, they want to get rid of it. So I suspect they would take pretty much any bid, get it into somebody else's hands.
I think I'll make the motion to table and discuss it at the closed session.
Okay. All right, there's a motion to table and discuss after a closed session. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Brick. Motion by Hertzberg, second by Brick. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? We'll come back to that after our closed session. All right, Ron, on an airport lease.
Right, yes, this is a new pilot coming into town, and I guess we did make a change on this year's contract, and that is, we did go back to the automatic renewal, with the clause in there that the council has the ability to adjust the rates every single year, with, we do have to give them 90 days of notice.
Okay.
So, that is the change in there.
So we'd be looking for a motion to approve the T-Hanger lease agreement between the city and Andrea Van Ness and Bjorn Sagi. Sagi?
Soggy. I'll move to approve the airport T-Hanger lease agreement between the city of Painesville and Andrea Van Ness and Bjorn Sagi.
This motion by Brick is stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Hertzberg. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Ron, are there any empty hangars left, or?
One, right?
We currently have one open hangar, but we have had about 4 or 5 calls in the last 2 weeks about potential pilots coming in.
Okay.
Oh,
Pretty confident that we
Good.
will be filled.
Good.
Okay, hotel market study, Tarek or Jean? Again, this is something that we're coming back to after our working session.
Well, I'll give the top line, and then since I wasn't at the working session, maybe Gene can give some detail on that. But initially looked at the potential of attracting another hotel in town. I did speak with the existing hotel to see what their interest was, if they would, because I was told that if you are looking for another hotel in town, the best potential new hotel will be talking to the existing owner. So I reached out to them. I think their corporate office is in Fargo, and I spoke with them there, and they felt that if we were to do a market study and the market study said, yes, we can support it, then that would give them something to consider, but right now they wouldn't consider it. I did speak with 3 other hotel operators, and they said the same thing. You know, they like the location. I mean, obviously right off the highway is good visibility for them, but they need to see what a market study says if it would support another hotel or not. We took this to EDAP. EDAP discussed it and decided that they, to maybe table it for now, look at it next year. And then it was discussed at the working session, but I wasn't at the working session.
Yeah, so council discussed it at the working session and discussed that we think there is probably a need for something like this. We discussed the housing study and how after we approved that, shortly thereafter, an apartment building was constructed. I think there was also the senior living facility came about after the housing study as well. I'm not sure if that relied on it or not. One thing that I've sort of thought about is, I think it was Henry Ford who said you don't ask the public necessarily what they want. They'll tell you they want a faster horse and buggy. So, you know, I get it. We might not think that we need a new hotel, but certainly the one out by New London, between New London and Spicer, seems to be full regularly. And I had an individual at the gala tell me that he comes out here for fishing from the cities, tries to get out here every couple of weeks, if not more often, and there is just nothing for fishing peoples to do in Minnesota or in Paintsville. So I think if we can look at increasing amenities and things like that, it's wise. Whether this hotel ends up coming in the city or if it finds space in the township, I think it's still going to benefit us, and I'm in favor of it, but, well, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, that's
Gene.
fine. That's basically what the discussion was, and when EDAP said no, I told Tarek, I said, bring it to council. We need to decide. And,
Well, I'd be in favor of it.
yeah, it'll tell us if we need one or we don't. Maybe we don't. But now we'll know.
It'll tell us,
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
I mean, if suppose you can have 3 of them, I think we can have a couple more too.
But I think in EDAP, when we talked about it, the, kind of what we had discussed was just waiting and looking over the numbers for a year ourselves. But if, you know, thinking about going forward within a year, there could be more construction projects, there could be, you know, more tournaments that come into town, and I guess, you know, maybe it's good to move sooner rather than later. Is that a hand? Sorry, Neil, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
A part of me agrees with EDAP that maybe a year would be a better, my concern is until Highway 23 is open, the traffic is down, we're not going to get the report that we would once the highway is open.
From talking to the company that would do the project or do the study, I don't think they take that into consideration on a highway construction. They do look at existing properties. They will interview the existing hotel as well as hotels in the surrounding area.
I'm kind of thinking, once the highway is open, the numbers will even be up for what they are today.
That's true.
Of course, the north gap will be open the end of the month, and the study's not even going to start.
Right.
yet. And the south isn't that.
I mean, I'm basically saying, let's wait a year from now and go ahead.
Do
I
we
think
have,
we'd get a better report.
and will we have any say, like, do we know how long of a study it is or when it takes place? Because our numbers are gonna be very different in the summertime. You know, I don't know what metrics they're using, but I assume the same as lots of other businesses with cars and everything else. So I think,
Do they look at the whole year?
I
Well,
don't know,
I don't know.
I think, I mean,
like more information.
generally for something like this, and I'm trying to recall when we did the housing study, but it's been a few years. But wouldn't we generally get a bid or a proposal from the company and then could review that, which would have a lot of the answers we're talking about?
Yeah, they would do a proposal.
Well,
Yeah,
So
I
how long
don't
would it
think
take for
with
the
more
study to
information, like Megan had a good question.
Probably won't happen until,
Look at a whole year or just
Not before the
specific
first
I don't
time.
know how long.
oh, how long it'll last?
No,
so,
how long does it take for the study to happen and for the council to get the results?
It'll take a few months.
Yeah,
A few months?
yeah. They
So
will
at least we'll
be-
have numbers to work with now.
They did one for Sartell. I spoke with the city administrator there. You know, they said they thought the company did a great job and they're using it actively right now to market to get a new hotel in Sartell.
So I'm just wondering, trying to figure out the pros and cons of doing it now or waiting a year. I mean, if we wait a year, then we're just a year behind. And I'm thinking if we go and move with this and get the results, we can make it a lot more well-known at the time and give potential developers a chance to work with us sooner than later.
well, why don't we,
I have a suggestion.
yes.
Why don't I get back to this company, get some more detail, and maybe have them submit a proposal for us?
Sounds good.
And then that's something that we can review and discuss if we want to move ahead with it now.
That sounds
I
good.
like that.
I'll get some of these questions answered, like, you know, do you do year-round? Do you consider that Highway 23 is
Right.
under construction?
If we get those numbers and that information, I'd like a chance to discuss it with EDAP again as well, because I don't think we had it. We were just kind of like, should we do it? Yeah or no. You know, we didn't have a lot of information going forward with the metrics or the time or any of that.
Bill, do you know if this is something that we have to send out for proposals or bids?
I think not. I mean, this is like a personal services thing, you know, so I don't think you would have to do bids on it, but that doesn't hurt to do it. I mean, get a couple of proposals at least to look at. I think it makes sense, but I don't think it's mandatory.
All right.
It's a professional service.
Well, I would like to see us come back to this in about a month. And Tarek, if you can get a formal proposal from the company, I personally would prefer if we could have at least 2 companies giving us proposals, if not more. But then the council can review it, and I think it should probably go back to EDAP as well, with maybe an understanding that the council is inclined to just go ahead with one.
Yeah.
So we'd rather do it with their cooperation rather than their objection.
And it was, you know, it was a good discussion. I don't think anybody was like seriously opposed. We just kind of felt with the timing. But if we have some of those answers, it might be a different feeling in the group too.
I'll do that.
Okay, so I don't think we need a motion on that. We'll come back to that in about a month. And with that, unless anybody else has business for us. Okay. We do have our lodging tax committee meeting minutes on page 94, police department report on page 97. With that, that concludes our new business, and we discussed about going into a closed session to make an offer on real property located at 617 Coronas Avenue pursuant to the open meeting law, section 13D.05 subdivision 3. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion by Hertzberg as stated on the sheet there, citing 13D.05 sub 3. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Brick. Any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right. Motion carries. With that, we are recessing our public meeting. We'll go into closed session and come back in a few minutes. Thanks, guys.
I saw that.
Since I think you should probably just have a motion and a second and vote to not do a bid.
Okay.
And then do the other part, yeah.
All right. All right, I'm going to assume that we are back on the record. I don't have confirmation from Kristen because I forgot my phone, but she's quick. Council met, we discussed making an offer on the property at 617 Coronas Avenue. Council decided not to make an offer, and at this point I would entertain a motion confirming that the council does not wish to make an offer on that property.
I'll make that motion.
There's a motion by Soini indicating that the council is not interested in making an offer on the property at 617 Coronas Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hertzberg. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Then we're looking for a motion authorizing the city administrator to sign the documents from Stearns County detailing and authorizing the sale of the property at auction, detailing the assessments and authorizing the sale of the property.
So moved.
Motion by Hertzberg, authorizing the city administrator to sign. Any further, or is there a second? Seconded by Soini. Any further discussion on that one? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
7 o'clock.
I put those 2 down because the one in St. Martin keeps bouncing back.
Yeah, that
And
happens to me
so
sometimes
if
too.
somebody's there, the whole